You'll need a 1/2 inch wrench, a 7/16 wrench, a 3/8 wrench, a 9/16 socket, and your bed knife measure, and a piece of paper. To begin setup, we're going to be adjusting the reels and bringing them up to the bed knife so that they can properly cut grass and paper. We're going to be adjusting this piece of the reel with those screws. By adjusting these, we are able to bring the reel closer or further away from the bed knife. Here's a better angle at this adjustment taking place. It might be difficult to see as it's a bit slow, but you can see the bed knife moving further away from the reel, and now you can see it getting closer. This next clip will show what too close of contact looks and sounds like. And now what it should sound like. The difference is subtle, but the reel has a lot more freedom to move. Here's a good example of what a properly set up reel and sharpened reel can do in the paper test, but let's take a look at some bad examples. Now I'll be showing an example of what an improperly set up reel will be doing in the paper test. Notice how at the end of the reel, the paper is not cut. As you can see, the first cut here looks really good. The second cut also looks pretty good, although it's a little rougher than the first. The third cut here might be a little rougher, but still it's not too bad. This fourth cut, we can start to see the inadequacies of the reel setup. And finally, the last cut that wasn't even cut, how it just bent the paper instead. This was a good demonstration to show that even if one side of the reel can be cutting well, the other side still needs to be checked. Here's an example of the reel cutting perfectly on all sides. Next, we'll be taking a look at how to set the height of cut. This is a mechanism used to adjust the roller at front, which determines the height of cut. Here, I'm loosening the nut that holds the adjustment screw in place. Tapping it out here, we're now unlocking the roller to be adjusted. Next, we'll set our height of cut using this plate and screw. The distance between the bottom head of the screw and the plate is 120 thou. Here, I'm adjusting the left side of the reel, which has been set too low for demonstration purposes. Notice how the plate has a bit of play when seated properly. Here you can see that the screw is sitting below the bed knife, so we need to adjust it upwards. Using the adjustment mechanism seen before, I'll bring up the height of the roller, which brings into contact the bottom head of the screw and the bed knife. Now for the reverse scenario, where the height of the roller is set too high. The bottom side of the screw head now sits above the bed knife. The reversed adjustment is made to bring the roller down and cause a flush contact of the bottom head of the screw and the bed knife. Finally, I'll check that our plate and screw fall into perfect contact without any additional force applied. If everything has been done properly, you'll see that the plate has no play when seated properly. Now that we've seen how to set up a reel properly, we're going to be taking a look at how an improperly set up reel affects the paper test as seen here, but more importantly, how it affects cutting grass out in the field. In my experiment, I've set up a dull reel on the right side of the mower and a sharp one on the left. After making 2 passes on the green, I'll inspect the quality of cut using the yield or the clippings in the bucket. I'll also be intentionally scalping this color to see how the quality of cut affects recovery times. Here we can see the dull scalp. Now we'll be taking a look at the quality of cut. As you can see, there is a stark difference between the dull and sharp reels, with the dull reel being on the right on this photo. Now unfortunately, I don't have a prism test to check for stragglers, but in these few photos, if you look carefully, you can see blades of grass that have been missed.